everyone, I am Charlie Matthews and welcome back to another episode of Charlie Reviews, where I, obviously, review games. And today, yes guys, we are talking about another Little Nightmares game. And you will know what it is if you read the title or saw the end of my Little Nightmares or the end of my Little Nightmares 2 review. But if you didn't do at least the first thing, today we are reviewing the mobile spin-off Little Nightmares game. That's right guys, we are reviewing Very Little Nightmares. Or shall I say we are remaking my review of Very Little Nightmares. Yes guys, that's right. I actually reviewed Very Little Nightmares way back in I think 2019 when the game originally came out. And I think most of my thoughts in this review are mostly similar to the ones in the original review. But I think I have, my thoughts have tweaked throughout the years, in coming back to the game and then coming back to all the other games, and especially seeing Little Nightmares 2. I think my thoughts have changed a little bit in this remake of my Very Little Nightmares review. But anyway guys, without further ado, why don't we review Very Little Nightmares. Story. Very Little Nightmares begins with our classic protagonist that we all still hate, Six, and she wakes up on what seems to be a deflated air balloon. Anyway, Six walks through this weird-looking place and starts to realise that it is another hostel called the Nest, where it is yet again inhabited by creepy monsters. So, after escaping some traps and seeing this strange yet familiar-looking girl, Six encounters the first creepy monster in the nest, the Craftsman, who seems to make these creepy dolls and has a mangled body, making him have to move on a wheelchair to capture his enemies. Six sets this kid free by getting a key while safely hiding from the Craftsman, and then unlocks a new passageway. To see the kid she set free is gone. Strange. Anyway, Six moves on further to then encounter the Craftsman again, and this time he notices her. Six runs away from the Craftsman and then falls into some boxes, where he takes her to the storage elevator. Six finds herself trapped in the box in the storage elevator, but eventually gets out, and luckily the Craftsman is gone this time. Anyway, Six solves some puzzles and then sees this weird-looking man with his arms tied to his back. Freaky. So, after more puzzles with some gnomes and matches, Six finds herself in one of the deep parts of the nest, where it is inhabited by a very familiar shoe monster I think we have all seen before. Anyway, Six escapes the shoe monster and gets out of the junk-filled place and gets to a very puzzling room with a sort of combination to open the next room. Well, luckily, Six finds it out and enters the next room. So after seeing the weird girl again and solving the puzzle, Six encounters the weird tied-up man we saw earlier, the butler. So, Six sneakily gets a key and escapes the butler unscathed. After solving more puzzles, the butler comes back and notices Six this time. But again, luckily, Six escapes, but falls into this dark room, seeing the girl appear again. Six makes her way to a bedroom with a bunch of gnomes that she eventually gets to jump on the bed so it can break and open a new path. Six goes through and sees the butler again, who seems to unwrap the boy we saw before and takes him into an elevator. Six makes her way to a dining room full of dolls sitting down, and presumably the boy. But he's a doll too? Huh. Anyway, Six makes it through the dining room and has to hide from the butler again, and luckily gets to the next room. Six sees a new enemy and pretty much the boss of the nest, the Pretender, who is obsessed with dolls and goes around, having tea parties with them and posing them around the nest. So, Six makes her way through an elevator room and to the main hall of the nest, and sees an exit. But before Six can get out, she is chased by the butler, but is helped by that familiar-looking girl from before. Six runs away and locks herself in a cabin, locking the other girl outside. Six makes her way through a secret passage and then sees the Pretender crying with the boy from earlier in pieces. Six walks up to her, but the Pretender notices, chasing her down a cliff. Six gets down the cliff and sees the strange girl again, who helps her and pushes a rock on the Pretender's head, knocking her out. Six and the girl escape until the Pretender wakes back up and pushes Six off a cliff. But at this moment, it is revealed that Six in this game wasn't really Six, but just a girl wearing the iconic raincoat. Really, it turns out the familiar girl was the one that was Six, and she goes down the cliff to inspect the area and escape on a raft. And that is where the story of Very Little Nightmares ends. Gameplay. So, the gameplay in Very Little Nightmares is the most basic out of all the Little Nightmares games so far. It's literally just a bunch of tapping on things to solve puzzles and walking around by tapping on floors. There's barely any else to it, except for these cool music box collectibles that you can find throughout your journey in the nest, which are pretty cool and do give some nice flashbacks to the original game, but don't unlock anything special unless you think achievements are somewhat special, I guess. So yeah, the gameplay's very basic, but it's a mobile game, so what do you exactly expect? Features. With it nearing close to the verdict, it's time to talk about Very Little Nightmares' features. So, the visuals in Very Little Nightmares are okay in my opinion, nowhere near as good as the realistic style of the first and second game, but okay at least, nothing special. The soundtrack's good. I don't think it's by the maker of the first and second soundtrack, which explains why it's not as good, but it's easily the best part of the game. It's nice. So that's really all the features that are in Very Little Nightmares, to be honest. They are pretty cool and do add an immersive feel to the game and make it really fun. So everyone, here we are finally with the verdict. Very Little Nightmares is a game with cool visuals, a nice twist and story, and very basic gameplay. So guys, without further ado, I rate Very Little Nightmares a 4 out of 10, with 6 points being taken off because of its very repetitive gameplay and it feeling bland at times. So everyone, that was the 5th episode of Charlie Reviews, and now guys, I have finally completed my quest on reviewing all 3 Little Nightmares games so far. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the journey. If you haven't watched Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2, those 2 reviews that I did, they are on my channel. You'll find them easily. So yeah guys, I do recommend you watch those if you haven't already. But yeah guys, so I have reviewed the whole trilogy of Little Nightmares games, and I hope that a Little Nightmares 3 does get announced very, very soon. But anyway guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Charlie Reviews episodes as they come out, or more of my content. Also don't forget to tap that bell so you get to see them immediately. If YouTube does it right, I have had moments where they don't, but hopefully they do on my channel. So yeah guys, don't forget to like all my videos, subscribe, just like my video. It really does really, really does help and motivates me more, you know, to make more episodes of Charlie Reviews. But anyway, guys, so yeah, before I go, I just want to remind you guys, just remember that I am Charlie Matthews, peacing out. Bye!